There's a quiet strength that comes with age, a kind of wisdom that allows us to see life through a different lens. Maybe you've noticed it yourself. The things that once seemed so important, like keeping up with every social event or maintaining a wide circle of friends, start to feel less urgent. Instead, there's a growing appreciation for simplicity, for peace, and for the freedom to live life on your own terms. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Why you don't need friends after 70, and how embracing independence can lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Don't need friends? Isn't that a bit extreme? But hear me out. This isn't about cutting people out of your life or shutting yourself off from the world. It's about redefining what friendship and connection mean to you at this stage of life. It's about recognizing that you don't have to conform to societal expectations or cling to relationships that no longer serve you. Instead, you have the power to choose how you spend your time, energy, and emotional resources. And sometimes that means choosing yourself. Let's start with the first reason why embracing independence after 70 can be so liberating. You've earned the right to prioritize yourself. Think about it. You've spent decades caring for others, whether it was raising a family, building a career, or supporting friends and loved ones. Now, it's your time. This is the stage of life where you get to focus on what truly matters to you. Maybe that means diving into a hobby you've always been curious about, traveling to places you've dreamed of visiting, or simply enjoying the quiet moments at home with a good book. When you let go of the pressure to maintain a large social circle, you create space for the things that bring you genuine joy. And here's the beautiful part. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're honoring the life you've built and the person you've become. It's about recognizing that your happiness matters just as much as anyone else's. Now, let's move on to the second reason. Friendships can be exhausting, and that's okay to admit. Let's be honest. Maintaining relationships takes work. There are phone calls to make, plans to coordinate, and sometimes drama to navigate. And while those things might have felt manageable in your younger years, they can start to feel like a burden as you get older. Energy levels change, and that's perfectly normal. You might find that you no longer have the patience for small talk, or the desire to keep up with every social obligation, and that's all right. What's important is being honest with yourself about what you truly want. If a friendship feels draining or one-sided, it's okay to step back. You don't owe anyone your time or energy. Instead, you can focus on the relationships that feel meaningful and uplifting, the ones that leave you feeling energized rather than depleted. And if that means having just one or two close friends or even spending more time alone, that's perfectly fine. This brings us to the third reason. Solitude can be incredibly empowering. There's a common misconception that being alone is the same as being lonely, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, spending time by yourself can be one of the most rewarding experiences, especially as you get older. It gives you the opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to reflect on your life, and to appreciate the person you've become. Think about it. When was the last time you truly enjoyed your own company? Maybe it was during a quiet morning walk, or while working on a project that brought you joy. Those moments of solitude can be incredibly grounding. They remind you that you are enough, just as you are. And when you embrace that truth, you'll find that you don't need validation or companionship from others to feel fulfilled. Now, I know this might feel like a lot to take in, especially if you've always placed a high value on friendships. But here's the thing, this isn't about rejecting connection altogether. It's about redefining what connection means to you. It's about choosing the relationships and experiences that align with who you are now, rather than who you used to be. As we wrap up this first part, I want you to take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. Think about the freedom that comes with prioritizing yourself, the relief of letting go of exhausting friendships, and the empowerment that solitude can bring. These are just the beginning of the reasons why you don't need friends after 70, and why embracing independence can lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. As we continue this conversation, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something important. The idea of not needing friends after 70 isn't about dismissing the value of relationships altogether. It's about shifting your perspective, about understanding that the relationships you do choose to keep can become even more meaningful when you're not spreading yourself too thin. It's about quality over quantity, depth over breadth. And that brings us to our next reason. Independence can actually strengthen the relationships that truly matter. Think about it, when you're not trying to juggle a dozen friendships, you have more time and energy to invest in the ones that bring you joy and fulfillment. Maybe it's a lifelong friend who knows you better than anyone else, or a family member who shares your values and interests. These are the people who truly get you, and when you focus on nurturing those connections, they can become even richer and more rewarding. But here's the key. These relationships thrive because they're built on mutual respect and understanding. They don't require constant effort or validation. Instead, they flow naturally, like a conversation that picks up right where it left off, no matter how much time has passed. And that's the beauty of embracing independence. It allows you to cherish the people who truly matter, without feeling obligated to maintain relationships that no longer serve you. Now let's talk about another reason why independence after 70 can be so liberating: letting go of societal expectations. For most of our lives, we're told that having a wide circle of friends is a sign of success, happiness, and even worth. But here's the truth: those expectations don't define you. They never have. And now more than ever, you have the freedom to let them go. Think about how freeing that is. You no longer have to say yes to every invitation, attend every gathering, or keep up with every social trend. Instead, you can focus on what feels right for you. Maybe that means spending a quiet evening at home instead of going to a crowded party, or maybe it means saying no to a friendship that feels more like an obligation than a joy. Whatever it looks like for you, the point is this: you get to decide, and when you let go of the pressure to conform, you create space for the life you truly want to live. This brings us to our next point. Independence allows you to rediscover yourself. It's easy to lose sight of who we are when we're constantly trying to meet the expectations of others. But when you step back from the noise and focus on your own needs and desires, something amazing happens. You start to reconnect with the person you've always been, deep down. Maybe you'll rediscover a passion you set aside years ago, like painting, gardening, or playing an instrument. Or maybe you'll find joy in simple pleasures, like watching the sun rise or taking a leisurely walk in nature. These moments of self-discovery are precious, and they're only possible when you give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, and to simply be. And here's the thing: when you're in tune with yourself, you become more confident in your choices. You stop worrying about what others think and start living for yourself. And that confidence is contagious. It radiates outward, attracting the kind of relationships and experiences that align with who you truly are. Now, I know this might sound like a big shift, especially if you've always valued having a wide social circle. But here's the good news: it's not an all-or-nothing proposition. Embracing independence doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life. It simply means you get to choose what works for you. And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer fit, so you can make room for the ones that do. As we move into the final part of this conversation, we'll explore even more reasons why independence after 70 can lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. We'll talk about the joy of living authentically, the freedom of setting your own pace, and the peace that comes with letting go of what no longer serves you. But for now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever felt the weight of societal expectations lift as you've gotten older? Or maybe you've rediscovered a part of yourself that you thought was lost. Share your experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Remember this: life after 70 is a time to celebrate who you are and what you've accomplished. It's a time to embrace independence, to live authentically, and to create a life that feels truly your own. So take a deep breath, let go of what no longer serves you, and step into the freedom that's waiting for you. You've earned it. As we come to the final part of our conversation, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've explored so far. We've talked about the freedom that comes with prioritizing yourself, the relief of letting go of exhausting friendships, and the empowerment that solitude can bring. We've also discussed how independence can strengthen the relationships that truly matter, how letting go of societal expectations can be liberating, and how reconnecting with yourself can lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment. These are all powerful reasons why you don't need friends after 70, and why embracing independence can lead to a happier, more meaningful life. Now let's dive into the final reasons that make this mindset so transformative. First, living authentically becomes easier when you're not tied to the expectations of others. Think about it: How often have you said yes to something you didn't really want to do, just to avoid disappointing someone else? Maybe it was attending a social event you had no interest in, or maintaining a friendship that felt more like a chore than a joy. But here's the thing, as you get older you start to realize that your time is precious, and when you embrace independence you give yourself permission to say no to the things that don't align with who you are or what you want. Living authentically means honoring your own needs, desires, and values. It means spending your time in ways that feel meaningful to you, whether that's pursuing a passion, spending time with loved ones, or simply enjoying the peace and quiet of your own company. And when you live this way, you'll find that your life becomes richer, more fulfilling, and more uniquely yours. This brings us to our next point. Independence allows you to set your own pace. One of the greatest gifts of getting older is the ability to slow down and savor life. You no longer have to rush from one commitment to the next, or keep up with the fast-paced demands of a busy social life. Instead, you can take your time, move at your own rhythm, and truly enjoy the moments that matter most. Maybe that means spending an entire afternoon reading a book, or taking a leisurely walk without worrying about where you need to be next. Or maybe it means saying no to plans that feel overwhelming, so you can recharge and focus on what truly brings you joy. When you embrace independence, you give yourself the freedom to live life at your own pace, and that's a gift worth cherishing. Finally, let's talk about the peace that comes with letting go of what no longer serves you. Independence after 70 is about releasing the need for external validation and finding contentment within yourself. It's about recognizing that you don't need a crowd of friends to feel loved or valued. Instead, you can find that love and value within yourself. This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life, far from it. It simply means that you no longer rely on others to define your worth or happiness. You know who you are, and you're confident in the life you've built. And when you reach that point, you'll find a deep sense of peace that comes from living authentically and unapologetically. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with this thought: life after 70 is a time to celebrate. It's a time to embrace the wisdom you've gained, the experiences you've had, and the person you've become. It's a time to let go of what no longer serves you, and make room for the things that truly matter. And if that means embracing independence and living life on your own terms, then that's exactly what you should do. So take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. Think about the freedom, the joy, and the peace that come with prioritizing yourself, letting go of exhausting friendships, and reconnecting with who you truly are. These are the gifts of independence, and they're yours for the taking. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What does independence look like in your life? Have you discovered the quiet joy of spending time alone, or have you found deeper meaning in the relationships that truly light up your world? Your stories and experiences are so valuable, and I'd be honored if you shared them in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can learn from and inspire one another. If this conversation resonated with you, I hope you'll take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's my goal to bring you more content that uplifts, empowers, and reminds you just how extraordinary this chapter of life can be. Remember, life after 70 isn't about slowing down, it's about stepping into your power. It's about embracing the freedom to live life on your terms, to savor every moment, and to create a life that feels authentically, unapologetically yours. So here's to you, to your strength, your wisdom, and the incredible journey ahead. Until next time, take care of yourself, celebrate the small joys, and keep living your best life. You've earned every bit of it. Cheers to you, and to the beautiful, independent life you're creating. See you soon.